Ryan Reynolds here for, I guess, my 100th Mint commercial. No, don't. I mean, honestly, when I started this, I thought I only have to do like 4 of these. I mean, it's unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month. How are there still people paying 2 or 3 times that much? I'm sorry, I shouldn't be victim blaming here. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/save. Whenever you're ready.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
When it comes to towing, seeing is believing. That's why Chevy Truck's advanced camera technology offers up to 8 available cameras for 14 unique views, so you can focus on the view that really matters. Chevrolet, together let's drive. Learn more about Chevy Trucks at Chevy.com. Safety or driver assistance features are no substitute for the driver's responsibility to operate the vehicle in a safe manner. Read the Vehicle Owner's Manual for important feature limitations and information.
So attention cricket clubs and cricketing family, are you ready to step up to the crease and make a long-lasting impact on your club's legacy? Listen up, we've got something special for you. Introducing Fund It Now, the revolutionary fundraising platform that's changing the game for cricket clubs everywhere. With Fund It Now, clubs of all sizes can create a lasting legacy by selling personalised plaques to their passionate members, supporters and cricket club family.
That's right, Livo. Fund It Now has already left its mark on some of cricket's most iconic venues like Lords, the home of cricket, Somerset County Cricket Club, and with projects such as the Father Time Wall and Somerset Legends Wall.
There's the best part, Hugh. There are absolutely no upfront costs. Fundraising has never been more simple or accessible.
Imagine walking around your club's ground or up to the pavilion and seeing a bespoke wall of dedication, celebrating the history of your club and supporting its future with every plaque. It's like your club's very own shrine to the sport we all love.
And getting involved couldn't be easier. Simply visit Fund It Now's website at funditnow.co.uk to get started today, or drop them an email at info@funditnow.co.uk to learn more. It's time to rally your supporters and start raising money like never before. And don't forget to tell them you heard it from us at the Premier League Cricket Show.
So what are you waiting for? Join the ranks of clubs and grounds like Somerset County Cricket Club and Lords and make your mark on cricket history.
Visit Fund It Now today and start building your fundraising platform. That's funditnow.co.uk. Fund It Now, where passion meets purpose at your cricket club, and begin creating your own legacy. So welcome everybody to another Match Week recording, looking back at the Premier League weekend just gone. It's fair to say, once again, we've had some weather-related issues in certain parts of the country, a different part of the country this time, because otherwise it starts to get a bit boring, doesn't it, Hugh?
It does, but Derbyshire seems to be ticking over all right. We seem to have dodged most of it, haven't we?
Yeah, just very, very peculiar. Although yesterday I did end up in Hereford for the NCCA and only saw 90 minutes of cricket, which was sod's law, 8 venues to choose from, and I chose the one with the least cricket.
Yeah, I drew a map. I drew a cricket map on where we should be playing cricket. You were in the big no zone at the moment. Heading west and south is not... You're not hedging your bets there, are you?
No, but let me tell you why I think we got 90 minutes of play, because one of the umpires was a Derbyshire Premier League umpire, so he thought we're getting this game on. So the Derbyshire link was there definitely.
Was it raining, was it, when they were playing?
No comment. It was wet. It was wet, but I watched Rich Edwards take a fifer for Wales National County. He's an absolute gun bowler when it comes to the red ball still. He looked absolutely fantastic. So it's good to catch up with the lads from Wales National County and Herefordshire yesterday, and I'll be doing that once a week for the next few weeks during the championship, getting around 1 or 2 of them. But less of what we're up to. We're joined by a guest again today, Hugh, and we're privileged to get someone from a club that we've been asking for a while now, and people think it might be for another reason, but we do genuinely love the club name. It's one of those great names out there. So joining us from St Lawrence and Highland Court in the Kent Premier League is Will Hilton. How are you doing, mate?
Hello. Yeah, very good, gents. Thank you very much for having me on.
Absolute pleasure, Will. Absolute pleasure. And we exchanged a number of messages last night and didn't realise it was you actually behind the messages on Twitter. So thanks for joining us. And we've got to ask, where does the name come from? Because it's quite a unique name, isn't it?
Yeah, it is pretty unique. I mean, from as far as I'm aware, the club used to play at the St Lawrence grounds where Kent currently play. Let's say, for this example, and they moved to Highland Court Farm, which we now currently play at. So the two clubs were amalgamated to become St Lawrence and Highland Court Cricket Club.
Okay,
we've been on the same ground ever since.
that's a nice, easy, simple explanation to who you guys are, isn't it? Then, rather than one of these convoluted, it came about because of X, Y, Z that we hear in cricket all over the country. Definitely.
Yeah, so I mean, so Lawrence go back. We've got photos in the clubhouse to the early 1900s. But Highland Court, I would say, came in probably in the 60s or 70s.
Okay. Cool. So you're in the Kent Premier League. Let's have a quick look at that straight away. Right now, you're in third place, whereas last year you finished in fourth. It's a bit of a topsy-turvy year, it looks like, in the Kent League. I mean, last year Lordswood won and Bexley came second. They're in sixth and eighth at the moment. What's going on in that league to be such topsy-turvy one this year?
Your guess is as good as mine, to be fair. So we've got obviously Minster are the runaway leaders at the moment, having lost one game. And Hayes are sort of second place, trying to catch them. But if you look at, we're third, but we lost to bottom of the league at the weekend. And there's others, everyone can be everyone. Minster have lost one game to Sandwich, I believe. But then, you look at the rest of the teams, it's pretty level, I would say, on most weekends that we come against the guys below us. But unfortunately, we have lost 4 home games, which we shouldn't be doing. But, these things happen. And that's why we are third. We'd like to think, on our day, with our strongest 11 outs, we would be competing with Minster and Hayes, but that's cricket, and that's just the way things go. But in terms of the level of cricket being played at the moment, we have
the bottom teams are beating other clubs. That it's that sort of bottom 8 all seem to be beating each other on a regular basis and losing to each other on a regular basis. It's just the 2 that have just sort of cut away at the top there. But yeah, it's an incredibly tight league, and we'll discuss some other leagues today. But there's certainly every single team is right in the mix of them.
Yeah, certainly, and that's not. Is it worrying us yet? Probably not. But, give it a couple more weeks, see how results go. You never know. We could be from third to, as you say, bottom in a few weeks. So we've just got to get back onto winning a couple of games, and like you say, anyone can be anyone from third to, well, I guess first to 10th, but at the moment it looks like third to 10th. So
yeah, I think Hugh, looking at our calculations, it is actually the officially closest league in the country right now.
Is that right? Is that my closest calculation?
On your closest calculation, I think, is the closest. It's overtaken at last the Cheshire League, which just has been for the last couple of years that much. You've only got 10 teams in the league anyway, so obviously you only play 18 games, and therefore that closeness can automatically just be a lot greater. The teams who won it last year, what's different with them to be further down sort of the league this year?
Lordswood, they're very much an unchanged team, really. I can't really put my finger on why they're down there, considering they've got pretty much the same squad as they had last year. Obviously, the other week, and he was an overseas player last year, and he's back this year, so they've still got the quality of players. But you look at other teams, Minster, they've recruited well. Their bowling is a notch above where they were last year. So little tweaks to other teams. It makes a difference. And you look at the history of the Kent League. There aren't many teams that have doubled up, have won it, and then won it again the year after. So that's the tricky bit. It's how do you, once you've won it, how do you then go again? What's the jump for the next bit? But we haven't got that yet, so I can't tell you.
You've been around first 11 cricket for quite a long time now, Will. What do you perceive the strength of it today versus, 5-10 years ago?
Well, I made my first 11 debut in the Kent Premier League would have been, oh God, how many years ago? 15 years ago, let's say. And yes, I've grown older, more experienced, but I would perceive it to be stronger back when I first started playing. But that's maybe because I was a 16, 17-year-old kid coming through and thinking, God, there's blokes out here like who was playing Chris Harris and Ed Giddins, for instance, for Bromley, and thinking, wow, these guys are former Test cricketers, and I'm playing against these guys. Maybe that. If you ask a 17-year-old now coming through saying, I'm playing against, I won't name drop him yet, but playing against players like we've got in our team, is that the same thing that they're coming up against? I don't know, but I would perceive it to be stronger back when I started playing. So it is now. No offense to everyone playing now, but that's just how I perceive it to be at the moment.
I think should we get that white elephant out of the room, Hugh? Because it's going to come up otherwise, isn't
it? There's 2 in the St Lawrence team. We've got Jason Sanger, who I'm a bit of a fan of, as you're overseas this year. Aussie Big Bash player, top level, as he plays Sydney grade cricket and things. And then obviously Darren Stevens, who, for those that don't know him, is pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fair to say that.
How do those, firstly, the thing I'm always interested in is whether they get involved in and around the club. What are the pair of them like? Is Darren able to do that? Is he a busy man? And same for Jason. What are they doing midweek? Are they helping out with coaching, or are they sort of just
both are, to be fair. We'll start with Darren, shall we? I mean, I can't get to understand. I can't believe his hunger still for the game of cricket. Was he 40, 48? I think he is now. The hunger, the desire, the will to still play cricket is just amazing. He's there training probably once a week at the moment. He's got a bit of a back problem, but he's getting through that. He's still got the smile, still got the love, and still wants to improve people as cricketers as well. I know he's doing some coaching on the sidelines for the South East Stars, and he's got his own little side business as well, which he's doing some one-to-one coaching. But his love for cricket is amazing. It's amazing. I don't think people from the outside think, Darren Stevens is just a cricketer. Actually, when it comes to it, the other stuff he gives to the game is amazing, to be fair.
Jason,
his performances for you have been phenomenal. I mean, last season, basically, he seemed to get 100 every week. He didn't play a huge amount of games, but when he was playing, he was getting 100. This season's not been quite so good. He's merely averaging 45 with the 200s, including 114 not out. For a guy of that age to be doing that, regardless of his pedigree, is just absolutely remarkable. There's wickets as well, though. He's still bowling. What is his bowling like? Is he still bowling, as quick as he was? I mean, he's never been quick.
Was it quick?
But is he still there? Is he still nagging away? Is he still zipping him through?
Yeah, he's still. It's not as quick as it probably once was, but in terms of the skill level, setting the batsman up and bowling the away swinger, putting a man out, bowling in ducker or bowling a straight one, he's still got all those skills. So, and I kept to him once a few years back, and you sort of don't understand until you stand there to realise the skill of the man and what he's capable of.
Yeah.
Is it an easy job keeping to him, just sitting there, up to the
it was the easiest. It was easiest place on to stand, really.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. That's a wicketkeeper talking now, isn't it?
Well, I filled in once. Let's put it like that.
So as a fill-in keeper, it was easy. That says a hell of a lot, then, doesn't it?
You don't have to move, do you?
If I can do it, anyone can do it.
And what about Jason? How's Jason doing for you guys? He's averaging 51, I think, this year. Scored a few runs. Have you got what you want from him as an overseas so far?
With a word, yes. Yeah, he's coming to the club. He's given a bit of a lease of life, a lot of energy, very enthusiastic, both on and off the pitch, as most overseas players are. Yeah. And yeah, he's been out the last couple of weeks. But he's came back in at the weekend, looked great for 15, but then got out again. But it's just the mindset. It's the mindset of, a professional cricketer in terms of, you see us clubbies, so to speak. A spinner will come on first ball. We're thinking, right, let's see him off, see what he's got to do, see if he's spinning it, see if he's not. But he'll come down the wicket, hit him for 6 over his head, which he's done a couple of times, or reverse sweep first ball to a spinner. And we're thinking, they're going, how on earth does this bloke do this? But, that's the mentality of a professional cricketer that has played, as you say, Big Bash, captain in Australia under 9s, plays first-class cricket. So, it's great to see and great to learn from a player like that as well, because he's fearless, essentially.
Yeah, I look at his stats. They're very much overseas pro stats, just consistently getting runs every week. Not necessarily getting your 50s, 100s, but there's very few failures in amongst that. And a few big scores, and it's clear that he's a seriously talented player.
Yeah,
I'd ask the question though, Will. Is it in terms of the balance? Is it a positive massively for you guys? Or do the opposition come along and see these players and go, aye, we're going to raise our game as well? Is that an issue?
Not necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
Guys do see a challenge playing against these fellas. And we do get, here we go, here are the 2 pros. When I'm at to bat, we lost the 2 pros, it's pressure on these guys. But people do see it as a challenge. And, you're playing Premier League cricket, it's a challenge regardless. But, it's more of a step up if you're playing against, Steve-O and Sanger. So, and people do up their game and they, there is a bit of a target on our backs. But, that's what it's all about. That's what we play cricket for at the end of the day.
Absolutely. Hey, Hugh, should we have a quick look at the results over the weekend in the Kent League?
Yep. From the top, St Lawrence, to joke to death. St Lawrence, Bickley Park, who, as we say, were bottom and managed to knock over St Lawrence there. Bad luck there. But they got Bickley 201 all out, and then a bit of a heap happened, didn't it? Will.
Yes.
Low scores in unexpected places and all out for 143. So yeah, it wasn't quite the day that was planned. I assume you were pretty happy bowling them out for 201. Did you feel that was a winning score?
Yeah, we felt that was very competitive. We definitely obviously felt that it's something that's chaseable, but when you're 20 for 4, things are slightly different.
Yeah, 20. Let's get this straight. 20 for 4, and you're overseas, and Steve-O have both gone. You start to think, but to be fair, you were top scorer on the day yourself.
Yeah, I tried my best. So I got unfortunately clipped on or played on, but yeah, it was slightly challenging once those 2 were out, or once we were 20 for 4, should I say? To try and look to win the game, but on a different day, you never know what happened.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The rest of the Tunbridge Wells put up 280 for 6 in one of the highest scoring games of the weekend in what, as we discussed, was another damp sponge of a weekend. And Canterbury Canterbury weren't able to get there, finishing 186 for 8. So a win for Tunbridge Wells there. And Hayes with 299, beating Bexley, bowling out Bexley for 218 there. Gareth Severin, who I might discuss shortly, 126. William McVicker 4 for 27 for Hayes. Then, Minster, Blackheath, Minster 210, Blackheath all out for 183. A pretty consistent batting performance from Minster. Lots of guys putting numbers up there, but nobody with a big score. And then Aaron Najjar, 3 for 36, and Bill Prideaux, 3 for 43. Got it 1 for them. George Wells replying 55 off 80 balls for Blackheath. And then Sandwich, Lords would, I feel like Lords would probably should have won this one. They were going nicely, and then lost a lot of wickets towards the end. But Sandwich, 224, and Lords would all out for 204. Zach Fagg, 88 off 92, and Roshan Jaitisia, 3 for 26. Lords would reply, Max Wood, 64, and then 3 lots of threefers from Tom Davis, Hugh Scott, and Thandu and Teeny, which is a bit fortunate. I was not fortunate, I was pleased to see Thandu there. He didn't bowl much last week. He seemed to come off mid-over, so I was a bit concerned he'd got an injury, but looks like he's back up and running this week.
We spoke to Tando a couple of weeks ago, as you said, Will, and one of the things we asked him about was the tracks down in Kent in comparison to what he's used to back home. And clearly there's no comparison. He's used to playing on concrete, never mind. He called them spongy, I think, in Kent. Has that been an even bigger issue this year because of all that stuff comes from the sky, unfortunately?
I wouldn't say so necessarily. I mean, our track is always known to get on the front dog, and that's all you do all day. And it's not been any worse than it has been in previous years. Other tracks, have they improved? Has the weather affected them? I wouldn't say so. I think generally, most of the grounds that we play on are pretty good grounds. And, there are some second level cricket played on some of them as well. Yeah. So they're always going to be to a pretty good high standard, to be fair. But
the balance between bat and ball has been quite good then throughout the season. You look at the score, we haven't got anyone running away with 300 plus last weekend.
No.
9-9. Quite a lot of close games. You expect the league to be around that all the time then? Yeah,
generally, if you're batting first and getting 220, 232, you'll be saying that's competitive. But 300 is always, any day 300 is hard to chase, isn't it? So, but I'd say they're doing pretty well, the wickets so far we've seen this season. And the rain, obviously, we've had a few washouts, but the rain hasn't really affected many wickets that we've played on at all.
And going back to a name that Hugh raised there, Gareth Severin for Hayes. He's one of the players that stood out, I think, this year, hasn't he, for around the Kent League?
Well, he got 100 against us at home, so yeah.
He definitely stood out for you guys then. Do you know much about his background?
I know he's a Kiwi. And I know he's been at Hayes for maybe 3 years now. Yeah. I think when he first came across, he won the Prem. Well, they won the Prem the year they went up when he was overseas, I believe. Having only played against him a couple of times, I don't really know much more than that.
He is the highest run scorer so far in the league this year, which clearly makes a difference without a shadow. You guys are doing all right there. Jason's in second place with 408 runs. He's still not cracked that ton yet. I'm guessing that's getting a little bit irritating for him, isn't it?
Well, it's an ongoing joke between the lads, to be fair. He can get to 50 but can't convert to 100. Either way, he's still buying a jug of beer afterwards because he can't get to 100. But
he's striking at 120. I think that's also he's putting the pressure right on the bowlers. So he's getting the runs and he's getting them quickly and giving time for the other batters to score as well. So I think he's doing his job, isn't he? And it'd be nice to see him get over the line.
Yeah, I think all the boys are willing him to get to 100, and I'm sure it's just around the corner. But there'll be a big cheer if he does, and when he does, I'm sure it'll be a win. Yeah. So fingers crossed for him.
He's got a nickname up in Buckinghamshire. He's the king of the forfers, week in, week out. But just not quite getting over, and it's such a big thing. But I think Hugh's about to say about Kiwis and how well they tend to do in our leagues, isn't it, Hugh?
Yeah, I think the Kiwis. I think it's probably partly because Kiwis are pretty badly paid when they play cricket, so we get a fairly high level of Kiwi cricketer coming over. I mean, the Aussies, we seem to have had quite a few this year, especially the big bash guys that are not necessarily getting in the state sort of first class system. But the Kiwis, they have a 6 or 7 month contract, so they're actually unemployed for the winter, or a fair few of them are. So they're obviously lots of really top level pros who are used to playing top level cricket come over and want to earn a bit more coin, and it's to our benefit.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. You might say all kinds of stuff when things go wrong, but these are the words you really need to remember. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. They've got options to fit your unique insurance needs, meaning you can talk to your agent to choose the coverage you need, have coverage options to protect the things you value most, file a claim right on the State Farm mobile app, and even reach a real person when you need to talk to someone. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Oh, such a clutch off-season pickup, Dave.
I was worried we'd bring back the same team.
I meant those blackout motorized shades.
Blinds.com made it crazy affordable to replace our old blinds.
Hard to install?
No, it's easy. I installed these and then got some for my mom. She talked to a design consultant for free and scheduled a professional measure and install.
Hall of Fame son.
They're the #1 online retailer of custom window coverings in the world.
Blinds.com is the GOAT.
Shop Blinds.com's primetime kickoff event. Save up to 50% off select styles, plus doorbusters. Rules and restrictions may apply.
Once again, as always, we can do half a dozen or so leagues in a little bit more detail than others. So last year in the Hertfordshire League, it was won by Potters Bar. Runners-up were Harpenden. And early season, it's been exactly the same too. And in recent weeks now, Harpenden have taken over at the top from Potters Bar. But it's very, very close. There's only, less than half a game between the two of them in terms of points. What have you seen there at the weekend in the results in Hertfordshire there, Hugh?
Yeah, into the Hertfordshire League. Bishop Stortford 236. We're in time cricket with Hertfordshire, and so the draw cricket knocking about. Bishop Stortford 236 and Hertford 153 for 8. Sam Davis 71. Harpenden with their big score against Old Owens 271 all out of 49 overs. So they got going pretty quickly there with Usman Malik 93, and then they bowled Old Owens out for 141. With Alex Gosling 4 for 31 and Harry Seagrave 3 for 25. Andrew Neil 3 for 45. Potters Bar generally was an interesting one there. Henley batted first, put up 167 for 9 off their 60 overs. At slow work there, and then Potters Bar absolutely walked it off 35 overs, 69 for no wicket. It was a fairly easy win for them. And then Radlett, Totteridge Millhillians looked like an interesting game. We've got Totteridge were batting first, 190 all out, and then Radlett got it with 1 wicket to spare. Few overs left in the tank, but 1 wicket to spare. A very, very close game there. And there's just a fair bit of scorecard carnage in that one. We've got Christopher Arul with 80, and then Dominic Chatfield with 31, the two openers, and then we've got 21, 8, 9, 9, 0, 15. So I think they were looking really well set to win that comfortably. And a bit of panic is set in.
They were 136 for 1,
and
then before the second wicket went down, chasing down that 190, and as you say, panic then set in very quickly for a number of overs.
Totteridge actually is a similar looking scorecard. You got 2 guys on 60 in Ben Howiego and Simon Webster, and then the rest are also in the very low numbers. So it looked like a wicket that once you could get in, you could get set, but it was hard to get started. And then West Herts North Mims looked like an interesting game. We've got West Herts batting first, put up 188 in 58 overs. So again, more slow progress there. And then North Mims managed to get it done with a few overs to go. Not many, I don't think. With 3 wickets in hand. So yeah, Cole Segari 76 off 134, and Sandesh Ramanyaki, who I think we've seen about the place a fair bit this year, 4 for 45 for them, and then a 5 for Dharma Jahal, 5 for 41 for North Mims.
Perfect opportunity for me to ask Will the question. Format-wise, what's your favourite format, and how do you feel about the format you play in Kent?
Well, we only play 50-50, so we're 50 overs.
Exactly.
I mean, when I first started, it was 55 Red Bull first half of the season, win, lose, draw, and then went to 50 win, lose, draw, and then it went to 50 win, lose, draw, and now we're 50-50 win, lose. So I'm a big fan of the result. We've actually introduced this year, first half of the season was white clothing, red ball. We're now on to coloured clothing and pink ball.
Okay, so exactly the same
round to
overs, just change of clothing and ball.
Correct.
It's another change, Hugh, that we've not picked up on potentially, because it just looks like a 50 over game.
Another load of kit everyone has to buy as well, isn't it?
Correct. I was just saying on that, the pink ball, I think some people love it and hate it. I'm not a big fan of it. And it was sort of a question mark that we rate, or I've sort of raised. I don't know how far it's gone up the chain, but for a guy or a kid or, academy player coming up through the ranks, playing with a pink, apart from the odd day-night test match, it didn't make much sense to me personally, because I would have played white ball cricket. But then obviously they say, you've got to get black sight screens. But for the future of cricketers and people coming through the ranks, it makes sense to be white ball. But that's my personal opinion. Whether or not that will get heard anywhere else, I don't know. But it sort of, I had a question mark. I know a few other leagues do play pink ball cricket, and I do like a bit of change. I do like wearing coloured clothing. It just feels a bit different. But it was just the white ball, pink ball debate that I do raise question marks over.
It's an interesting question, as always, when it comes to form. And the reason I ask is we've just done the Hertfordshire Cricket League, and they've got a really wide scale when it comes to points, I believe, in that league. If I look at that Potters Bar game against Shenley Village, Potters Bar chased down 167, and in chasing down 167, win 30 points, and Shenley Village get 2. That's a wide amount of point differential between any two teams, whereas Bishop Stortford and Hertford, they drew. Bishop Stortford 236 all out, and Hertford 153 for 8. There's only a 10-point differential there between 16 and 6, and it's one of our continuous conversations around the country about. There's no right or wrong, unfortunately. Some leagues have tried to simplify it more than others, but it's a real difficult one for administrators to get right, isn't it, Will?
Yeah, no, definitely. We're 18 points for a win, and you can get up to 8 bonus points. So you get a 10-point swing there, or it could be a 17-point swing. And it's a tricky one, I have to say. You think, some occasions where we might, you might get 300 for 5 or 6, so you get 4 batting points, and they get 2 bonus points, and then they might get 2. I think to get maximum batting points, you have to get 200 in our league. So they could come away with 6 points, but you've actually smashed a team. Where do they deserve to get 6 points out of it, and we get 18? It's it's one of those ones where we still go by it. But would you like to see a change potentially? Yeah, we would do. But
it seems a bit strange that they've stayed with the exact same format. I mean, I could understand moving, changing format slightly to move between red ball, pink ball. But is there enough of a difference in the game to justify the pink ball in terms of tactics changing, mindset, all these kind of stuff? Or are people just playing the same game and it's just a pink ball?
I would say the latter. I think it's just the same. There's no difference. It's just the colour clothing and the colour of the ball.
Yeah. So it seems a bit, you think there'd be some other maybe innovation to make the captains think differently, make the players think differently.
Maybe it's the first year of it, so maybe it will evolve down. Maybe it'll evolve next year and the year after. Who knows? But it might. That's probably a question that we could raise. And I know the Kent League is very much a club-run league, so anything we do has to go to vote. So it might be a thing to have a think of in the next few weeks of how do you. Yeah. If you want to differentiate it, how do you do it, and what that looks like? Yeah,
I mean, you've got. We'll talk about the Northants League in a sec, but they're having a block of T20 at the moment. And you actually, with a 10-team league, you've got that opportunity potentially to block off a few weeks and jump out and do a 20 block or something different that may be separate. And then you've got the pink ball coming in and the colour clothing and all the rest of it. Yeah. But it's one for the future.
Constantly changing all the time. And it's something that we'll continue to talk about because we never shut up about it, really, do you? Hey, talking about never shutting up, he's back again to join us, as always. It's Mr. Crickex himself, Matt Taff. How are we doing, Matt?
How's it going, guys?
All good, Matt. Looking back at the weekend, it's fair to say that there was lots of cricket played in the Northwest, but not for you.
Yeah, not for us. I think we're the only team, weren't we, in the old comp that didn't get on?
Yeah, I think there was two. I think there was 2 games cancelled in the comp, and they were both around Liverpool, though.
Yeah, it was Sefton Park, wasn't it? Yeah, it just started raining and it didn't stop, and then half 2 came. It was a cut off, and just shook hands and went home. It was a strange day, really.
So I've got to ask, was the talk of a round of golf again?
There wasn't, no, to be honest. It was just a case of, I think there was no chance of play, really. It was so wet at Egbert, and we just waited till half 2 for the sake of waiting for any hope of cricket, but there was never any hope. The wicket ends was far too wet, and it was just a case of hour and a half get home.
Absolutely. Hey, let's talk about cricket that did happen, though, and the Cricket stable and the performance of the week. Who stood out in the batters for you this week, Matt?
Yeah, so we've got leading the way for Potton is Madhawar Nimesh. He's got a big 153 off 119. And then in the second innings for Swindon, we've had Johan Liange. He's gone 103 not out there in the second innings. So it's a bit of a battle between the Sri Lankan pros in that one. Gareth Seravin for Hayes down in Kent against Bexley. He's gone 126. Fellow New Zealander Fraser Sheet for Reigate Priory against Guildford. He's gone 112. And then we've had an awful lot of 90s weeks. Just to name a couple, we've had a Sri Lankan Jiwaka Sachin. He's gone 99, unfortunately fell short. I think he was run out. Trying to scrap my memory back to Monday morning. I think he was run out looking at the scorecard. And then we've had a couple of 90s, 96s, 97s from a few of the pros. A couple more runs it gets into that three figures, but another good week with a bat.
Absolutely. What you got around the rest of the UK then, Hugh?
In terms of runs, the Lincolnshire League seems to be producing some big scores at the moment. 7 not out, Daniel Smith, Sleaford against Grantham. Grantham have been going well this year, and that's a super quick 187 as well, striking at 139. So that's a top performance there. That's top performance of the week. Harry Funnell in Leicestershire, Rothley Park, or Ruthley, as I've learned this week, I think it is, but 153 off just 95 balls against Sileby. Yeah, Ruthley, I was told this week. Well, it's one of those, Shrewsbury jobs. But I'm going to go with Rothley because it's spelt Rothley.
That's what we've been saying all season. We'll
so we've got to be consistent. Scott Friend in the Lancs League, 137 not out. Darwin versus Middleton. Henry Rogers, 128 off 145 balls for Cuckfield against Bognor in the Sussex League. Jordan Everett, Ashmanart and Barton Wanderers, 127 not out against Frinton-on-Sea in the EAPL. That's the top 5.
And have you got a number for how many tons there were around the country this week?
I do. It's a bit down. I think weather, shortened games, just general murk, we've got 26. Although I think a couple of scorecards have failed to turn up. So yeah, there might be a couple more. But yeah, I did check a few that haven't come through properly, and they've there wasn't tons in them. But yeah, we've got 26 tons this week. Yeah, we've got a 99. Robbie White also with a 99. It's Ealing versus Stanmore. How was he out? Let's hope he was run out as well. It's always a bit more amusing when they run out for 99, isn't it? But
yeah.
As he was, even better.
It just makes our day when we hear that. Hey, come on, let's look at the bowlers then, Matt. What have you got in the bowling gang at Crick X?
Yes, we've had our first 9 for of the summer. Thick Shiller de Silva for Great Harwood. 9-4 against Accrington. Delanka Uwart, the Ainsdale left arm spinner, he's gone 7 for 29. And we actually took bets on a couple of weeks ago how many wickets he'd end on with the year. He's gone over 50 wickets now and I think 9. So I think 3 figures is definitely on the cards if it stays dry.
He is playing every other day though, isn't he? Come on.
He's bowling every other day. Buddy Kasanjiwa for Conisbrough, he's gone 7 for 31. And then an awful lot of 5s again. Damien Burridge for Hampstead, he's gone 5 for 12. Sard Khan for Old Ruts, he's gone 5 for 13. Wiggins, Avinash Yadav, he's backed his 7th for up last weekend with 5 for 17. Richmond's Safi Ghaffari, the leg spinner, he's gone 5 for 31. And then again, it's just load of 4s and load of 5s, so they've excelled with the ball this week, all up.
Most definitely. And can I give a shout out to Mr. De Silva at Great Harwood, because correct me if I'm wrong, he's also re-signed again to go back to them. Yeah. Is that going to be his 5th or 6th season back to back now?
Yeah, 6th. It'll be his 6th year next year with Great Harwood. So what signs a contract and takes 9 for, so you can't be moaning too much there as the club.
Oh, so it wasn't the other way round 9 for, and then the chairman slapped it in front of him?
Potentially. I don't know if the deal was fully agreed, but I reckon.
Yeah, he's part of the furniture at Great Harwood now, isn't he?
Oh, he really is. He really is.
Definitely. Hey, Hugh, what else we got apart from that 9 for?
Well, I think normally it's a relatively even split of 5s and 100s, but this week it's 65 for, so double the number of 100s that we've had, which is a sign of conditions favouring the seamers. And we've got Ben Hutchinson at the top, local to us here, on the Derbyshire staff. 7 wickets for 19 for Swarkson against Dunstall, and Dunstall ending in a heap. Matt Keogh, Policy versus Lee in the Liverpool comp, 7 for 45, and Harriet Killoran, 7 for 45. Horns against Teddington in the Middlesex County Cricket League. And those are the 3 7-fers. And then we've got Daniel Gladwell, very, very tidy, 6 for 11 off 7.4 overs. Colchester versus Hadley and Thunderley in the Essex League. And then 6 for 18 for Ockert Erasmus for Burnley against Church and Oswald Twistle in the Lancs League. I'm keeping an eye on Burnley, though, with a certain Jimmy A. I'm just, let's hope he turns up there. I think we need a petition or some national...
Hey, we put it on our socials, and surprise, surprise, Burnley backed us on it.
Yeah, I think it's got to happen, hasn't it? Just the whole season out of him, let alone one game. Come on, he's fit enough.
Correct me if I'm wrong, there's a name that you've not mentioned there yet. I think he might have taken 6 for. We talked about Steve-O playing with Will up at... down at St. Lawrence and Highland, another ex-full-time pro playing in for Banbury did well this weekend.
Yeah, Jack Brooks, 6 for 28 in the home counties Premier League. He's done well, actually. He's sort of gone under the radar a little bit from my point of view, but he's got 113 for them the other day, not out 47, and then he's bowling, fairly consistently through when he's available. 6 wickets last weekend, 4 wickets 3 or 4 weeks ago, 5 wickets earlier in the season. So yeah, he's doing pretty well.
And is that the issue that you have, Will, with having these guys within the squad? So it is just availability sometimes the issue.
Yeah, sometimes. Darren, with other coaching commitments and other things, family, it's just juggling how many games he can play in the seasons. I think we'll get the most out in this season that we've had ever. That can be only a good thing.
How long has he been with you?
So I was first time captain in 2017 when he played his first game for us. And that was actually in Division 2, believe it or not, when he's still a pro. And then he's been with us since then, pretty much. Probably played a handful of games each season until he retired, which would have been back end of... Actually, I don't think he's officially retired, to be fair. I think he's still there.
He's never announced it, has he?
No, he's never announced it, actually. I might pick him up on that. But last year he must have played 8 or 9 games, which was the most. And I think this year he's down to play 12 or 13.
Fantastic. Do you get sort of plenty of warning, the games he's missing, or is it a little bit last minute?
With Steve-O, it's always last minute.
Oh, so you're quite glad you're not skippering anymore or having to sort that mess out.
Correct. I have to give him a shout out because he did actually play for us the day after his second child was born, so he was committed.
Absolutely, we'll take that all day.
There's nothing you can't be doing a lot though, can you? It's a busy day, hopefully other kids are off with the grandkids. It's a day of celebration. So
correct, and he's asleep on the bench.
About right. Hey, Matt, thanks again for joining us from Cricket. Once again, everyone, what we'll do is we'll put 3 or 4 names out on our socials for the ECB Performance of the Week, and we'll see who comes up this week on the vote. Thanks for your time again, Matt.
Well, cheers, guys.
We're going to jump into one of our other leagues now, and we're going to go all the way up north to the Bradford Premier League, where last year's winners Woodlands are in second place, and second place team New Farnley are in third. Still out front, a little bit of a surprise to 1 or 2 people, is Ger Lane, but that gap is getting a lot tighter at the top. There's only 6 points between the two, and some interesting stuff going up there the weekend, Hugh.
Yeah, well, it's quite a close one, actually. We've got the top 5 are all there, aren't they? And there's not a lot to choose between them, and even right down, we've got Farsley second bottom, but they're not far away. We've got Pudsey Kong's a bit cut adrift, but yeah, it's an interesting league, and it could, it's been weather affected, and a few results here or there. If you can get a win, somebody else gets a rained off, then you're in business, aren't you? So yeah, it was a fairly chaotic weekend in amongst a few of these games, as has been the case for much of the season in the Bradford League. But we've got Woodlands putting up 316 for 6, and bowling out Ossett for 161, Sam Franklin 105, Kieran Collins 68, and then Thomas Clee 5 for 50 for Woodlands. So that was a really, really high scoring game. And then the rest of the games, there's a few 200s in there, but most of them are fairly close and fairly not necessarily close, but fairly low scoring affairs. Pudsey Kong's got absolutely demolished by Bradford and Bingley. They were 124 all out, and Bradford 128 for no wicket. With Jacob Slater and Callum Goldthorpe opening and seeing the job done. 71 for Jacob and 51 for Callum Goldthorpe. Pudsey St Lawrence, New Farnley going okay. They finished on 214 for 9 off 44 overs, and then that was a rain-reduced target of 195 off 36, which doesn't seem quite fair, but never mind. I scratched my head at some of these. So they fell a fair way short, Pudsey, in pursuit of that. Townville, Ger Lane casing 191 in a reduced. I think both sides got reduced overs in 30 overs, so it's a 30 over a side match. Townville set 191 for 9, which is a good effort in very quick circumstances. Lots of people chipping in with 30s and 20s all pretty quickly, and then Ger Lane bowled out for 144 in reply.
I point something out in that game. Dushan Vimukti didn't take a single wicket.
There we go.
I think that's the first time this season their team have bowled someone out and he has not taken a wicket. That contract will be being renewed anymore now, will it?
Well, he's doing okay. I think we'll give him a day off. So yeah, lost my page. There we go. And then Methley, Undercliff, looked like a fairly interesting game. Undercliff batted first, put up 211 for 9 or 50 overs, and then Methley, with all 50 playable, got it with 6 overs to go. 5 down. So good win for Methley. To the Cornell, who's just doing the job year in, year out, wherever he is. Yeah. He's a top Premier League player, 54 off 76. Ben Waite, 3 for 50. And Kyle Welsh for Undercliff, 71 off 91. Alan Fletcher, 2 for 40.
Yeah, and good to see Alex Lilly back playing the skipper at New Farnley, injured earlier in the season. He's been getting some runs. He's been actually playing more as a batter than a bowler. He started bowling in the last couple of weeks, but he's back in the fold there. And so they jumped in, but once Cam Fletcher had been signed by Derbyshire to come play in T20s, I know talking to Alex, he felt as though he needs to jump in there as quick as possible, and he's starting to get back in there. But it's got a long way to go, that league yet, hasn't it, Hugh? Long way.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you talk Cam Fletcher there. He's not playing much for Derbyshire in the T20.
No, I'm hearing he might have I'm hearing there might be a hamstring involved somewhere down the line, but I will not reveal my sources. Let's just say that. Well, you're playing a first-class county, down in Kent. So you don't get as much of an impact from the NCCA boys as one or two others, do you?
No, we don't. No, I think there's a few of them play. There's a couple of lads at Hayes that play down in Cornwall, I think, don't they? Vicar and Blake, I think, and Alex Blake play down there. But other than that, I don't think we get many. To be fair, there might be. I know Aaron Niger plays for Minster, who's from Essex. Mm-hmm. But other than that, there's not many either cross-county or minor county players that do play consistently or at all. To be fair,
have you had a situation like New Farnley have got where you've got an overseas pro in for the season, everything's lined up, and then he's got called up to bigger and better things? Have you had that trouble? Or
we haven't yet, but I know Sandwich Town, who are in the Prem as well, they had, who was overseas player, James Basie last year, who played for them for the first maybe 9 games, then got contracted to Kent to play in the One Day Cup for 6 or 7 weeks, and then went home after that. So I know they had a problem with it, but we haven't had any issues with that yet. Touch wood. I know we've had Sanger goes home a couple of weeks early. We had Mickey Edwards a few years back. He had to go home a couple of weeks early because he had to get back for pre-season, back for Shield cricket.
It's a nice problem to have if obviously you've got an overseas that's doing really, really well, and it's you can't hold these people back. But it's a difficult one for captains up and down the league when that happens.
I mean, you could argue with Kent's form recently in the T20 competition. Were we nervous that Sanger might get signed up with his credentials potentially? But nothing happened there, so we're quite happy.
Yeah, we managed to watch 2 players within the space of 3 weeks getting signed from Premier League, and in fact Division 1 in Zach Fowkes' situation. It's going to happen, isn't it, more and more? And I think as we approach August and the Metro Bank, if that run of form doesn't get any better for the likes of Kent, then they might be dipping into the league to find some 50-over players.
Yeah, I'm sure they will, if given the opportunity, but let's wait and see what happens.
It's just a bit frustrating that the overseas guys get picked up, but the guys that have been doing it year in, year out, that are actually British, don't. Yeah. It seems to be a bit of a head scratcher sometimes. I know these guys that are overseas, they've got first class experience, which is dealing in that pressure environment, but it's a shame that some of these clubs can't take a bit of a fly short term on some of them, push them.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a young lad at our club, unfortunately he's injured now. He's a Kent Academy second 11 player. We'd be willing him on to play One Day Cup if he could do, but unfortunately he's picked up a bit of a stress fracture, so he's out for the rest of the season. But you'd like to think that he would be the next one, or would have been one of the next ones to have a shot in the One Day Cup if they were looking for players to step up from the Kent League.
Who's that?
Definitely.
A young lad called Ollie Curtis.
And is he a quick
seamer, but also bats? So he bats 4 for us and bowls some seams. I mean, in terms of the talent that we've got coming through from our club, he's the best that we've seen in a long time. So we've got all the best intentions for him to go all the way, hopefully.
How old is he?
He's 16 or 17, I think.
Wow. Great.
Definitely one for us to keep an eye on.
Bad time to pick up a stressy.
Yeah, it's not ideal, but
but then look what Tando did. He was exactly the same, and he came through that, and it's made him a better player, if anything, hasn't it?
Yeah, that's a hope. That's a hope for Ollie. So I think it's for him.
I was going to ask. Because again, one of the conversations that we have on a regular basis is about players not being picked up from the Premier League to play at a higher level. Is there any names that you've played with over the years, or even around the league right now, where you go, I just can't believe that guy's not being given more of an opportunity?
Darren Stevens.
Besides Steve-O, he's just a completely different ball game.
No. Have there been others within the league? At the moment, it's a tricky one. I can't really put my finger on any at the moment. Obviously, there's a few Kent Academy lads that are coming through that you're seeing. So you'd hope to see those guys progress up the ranks. Across, there's quite a few across the clubs that play in Kent. Further on as county-wise, well, that's a good question. I mean, we had a few back in the day. A chap called Jimmy Lincoln played in the mid 2000s, late 2000s. You thought we're going to hire on, but springing to mind. That's a good question. I think it's just the young lads at the moment, to be fair, that you want to see progress and go through.
Yeah, and it is making sure enough of those lads come through I'm a big believer that the academy starts at your club's full stop, end of story, doesn't it?
Yeah, and to be fair, you'd like to see that. And we've got quite a few kids teams and women's teams and everything going through. So we're hoping that hopefully we can produce someone that goes on to bigger and better honours. Yeah. So obviously, you want to play for your club, but Kent or further on is the pinnacle, isn't it? So
Zach Crawley played a few games in the Premier League back in the day. Yeah. Sevenoaks Vine. Did you play against Zach?
No, I didn't. No, not back in the day. No.
Because I'd be interested to see what his people's thoughts on his potential going forward would be. You look at his sort of Premier League stats, and they're certainly not bad, but they're not the player that he is now. He's not. He didn't stand out, but he's a hugely tall batsman. They don't always find it so easy. Getting used to that size early on and takes a long time to settle into the height.
There's a lad, a lad called Ben. I can't remember his last name is now. He plays at Tunbridge Wells. I didn't play against him, but the lad said that there's similarities between him and Zach. He's a tall opening batsman. He gives a bit of a whack, so he might be one for the future as well. Ben, I can't remember his last name. It's Ben someone for Tunbridge Wells.
We'll find him. Hey, let's move on to our final league of the week that we're going to have a look at this week, and it's the Northamptonshire Cricket League, who, as Hugh said, I think they're in a midst of a little bit of a T20 block at the moment. Last year's winners, Find and Dolben, are still running out at the front of the league, and they've got one of the bigger leads around the country, I think it's fair to say, in Premier Leagues. The runners-up last year, Brigstock, are back in 5th place, and I wouldn't have thought they'd be too pleased with that position right now. They're sort of starting to drop a little bit behind, and a 35-point lead at the top of Findon is a great place to be there, Hugh, isn't it?
Yeah, they are streets ahead, aren't they? The other guys are sort of in and around beating each other, but they are streets ahead. They're in this block of, I'm not quite sure, is it 3 or 4 weeks of T20, and Find and Dolben were winning those games as well. It happened for the last 2 years. It'd be interesting to see what the feedback is on this block of T20. I really like the sound of it. I think it's a really nice move. I think it could be done up and down the country. Just a bit of a freshener mid-season. You don't necessarily have to have your gun first team players out, and potentially people need that holiday in the summer, especially if there's kids knocking about. They could maybe use it to grab a bit of a break. If you don't, just maybe really splits the league into 2 halves, so you can really go again for the second half. So
let me just ask Will a question on that. In terms of availability, we've spoken to a number of leagues who are putting this T20 block in now, and the one thing that it's all given them a massive advantage of is availability on a Saturday is always going to be better than on a Sunday. So they just split it up and it works out nicely. Would that work for you, do you think?
Well, I don't know, because we have a current T20 block on a Sunday, so we have a three-team round robin group scenario on a Sunday. Yeah. Top one qualifies to the next round. Saturday T20 cricket, would it be 1 game or 2 games?
They're blocking it in 2 games, so host club 2 games on the day.
I'd be all for that, to change it up to see how it would go, for sure.
Do you find availability is better on a Saturday than a Sunday generally?
Generally, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's a conversation we're going to have towards the end of the season, if not in the post-season, with a captain's round table, because it also impacts on the national competitions which run on a Sunday. So it's finding that balance between, somebody pointed out to me yesterday that you've also got NCCA start on a Sunday. So the calendar is so busy for everyone to try and fit in. These blocks of T20 on a Saturday just happen to work, don't they?
Yeah, it's also it focuses that, with it being Saturday cricket team, really promotes it as a high level comp. It's not a Sunday comp that people maybe are using as a bit more of a fun day of cricket, or miss for whatever commitments. It's focusing it on a Saturday, so it really lifts the standard. So just looking at the
what can you see in the Northampton League last week?
Well, just looking at
a lot of games.
Yeah, well, there's not a huge amount happening obviously this weekend in the Premier League side, but the top 4 batters are split between 2 clubs. We've got Jack Lees, the South African overseas, who's absolutely flying, 68 runs at 93 by the strike rate of 120. He's going to be one to watch out for. He's a pretty young South African overseas. We've got Isaac Melentis, who's the West Aussie overseas at Desborough. He's going very nicely as well. 147 runs at 55. Zakir Khawaja, 389 runs at 55. And Matt Taylor at Geddington, also with Jack Lees, 378 runs at 50. So the runs are split between 2 clubs, but the bowling, a certain Harrison Craig at the top with 23 wickets, George Parker for Geddington second. But what's interesting, we've got Jack Fuller, who's there from Fine and Dolben. But what's interesting is that the Fine players aren't really featuring in the top runs and the top wickets, but they're top of the league. So they just seem to be able to get themselves over the line. They've had a few close games where maybe less experienced teams would have lost them. And that's really, really paid dividends for them. So, yeah, they're not necessarily firing on all cylinders, batter and bowling wise, but they're just getting the job done. That extra depth they've got is crucial.
Definitely. Is that something you found in the Kent League, Will? That it's not necessarily the players, clubs who've spent the biggest money on overseas or who've got the biggest names in there. It is all about that depth around the entire squad generally.
Yes, I can say that firmly now with the few injuries that we've had. I think it's definitely the depth and strength and depth of the clubs and the teams. It stands out. Way Premier League team, you have a good second 11, and it's finding those replacements like for like to take spots, because we've had our opening bowler go down. I mentioned about Ollie Curtis, top 4 batsman and 10 overs every week. So it's you have to have the strength and depth to be able to carry on competing and potentially stay up as well.
And what's the state of the junior sections around the Kent League? Is it a real strength for clubs generally?
Yeah, so I mean, I'll take our club for example. We've got under 11s, I think 5 under 11s teams, wow. 2 under 13s, and I think one of the under 11s teams is girls designated only as well. And then I think there's one under 15s, and under 9s, softball, cricket, along with two women's teams as well. So I think in terms of our club, we can say we're in a pretty good place. And I know around the county, not just the Premier League clubs, but other clubs lower down, they've got pretty good numbers coming through as well. So it looks to be in a good place at the moment.
You're drawing your players from Canterbury. Is that where the majority come from?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Canterbury is the city. Obviously there's Canterbury Cricket Club as well, but generally, around that area, the villages around Canterbury as well. So that's where we're pulling most people from. Bridge Primary School is quite big, the village that we're in, and then other ones locally is where we're generally getting people from.
Hey, we're coming towards the end of our recording. We've always got to ask the same question to everyone towards the end of our recording. You're now in the second half of the season. You're in third place, but definitely within touching distance of second with Hayes. We are one sort of game away with just a little bit more. Can you see yourself getting up there, to overtaking Minster this year?
Which answer would you like? I think if we hadn't have lost the last couple of weeks, most certainly, but I think we'll struggle to beat them. I think they're 4 wins ahead of us with 8 games to go, so they've got to go some to lose those games, and we've got to go some to win some games. So I think we finished 4th last year. Our plan was always to finish above that this year, and with a couple of injuries that we've had, we will do well to do that, I think. So sitting on the fence, probably will finish 3rd or 4th, hopefully. But I just can't see that swing of 4 losses for Minster for us to get above them. Hayes have obviously got the best chance of doing it. So,
which is really interesting, being just about the closest league in the country. But it just sounds difficult to just top them off, doesn't it? Have you still got to play them again?
We play them last game of the season, so you never know.
Okay, so that is one to potentially keep an eye on. Then that could make it interesting, couldn't it? Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, we've got to keep winning. That's the thing.
Yeah, most definitely. We're getting into that time of the season now when we've got to start looking at those games ahead and thinking what's coming up here. Where are the big results going to make a difference within the league? And just to give everyone a heads up, and if you haven't picked up from our socials, we have got a very unique weekend coming up this weekend on the 20th and 20th. In no uncertain terms, the only place to watch competitive top-level cricket is your local Premier League cricket ground, unless you've got a ticket for Trent Bridge in the Test match. It's a weekend, would you believe, that there is 0 first-class cricket, no county championship, no Metro, no Blast, no 100. So on Saturday, if you're sat at home thinking, where shall I go and watch some cricket, there's about 170 plus Premier League grounds around the country who will be more than welcome to see you come down. I'm not sure if you're at home or away yourselves this weekend, Will, but it's got to be, we've called it the National Premier League Cricket Weekend, and to be fair, our friends at the Cricket Paper have backed us by putting it in their paper at the weekend. Their 40,000 followers now know that the only place they can watch cricket that's competitive on Saturday or Sunday this weekend is actually at a Premier League cricket ground. How unusual is that, eh?
Second year in a row, I think, isn't it, as well?
Second year in a row, definitely. Yeah. And we are talking to the ECB potentially about doing something about it next year.
Now you've pointed it out, they'll have noticed it and they'll fill in the gaps, won't they?
No, we pointed it out last year, they did nothing.
Oh yeah, but that's not saying a lot, is it?
Hey, 170 odd grounds around the country. We will, at some point this week, I will put out all of the fixtures across all of the country. It's a bit of a task in hand, as you can imagine, but we're going to do that because why shouldn't the Premier League cricketers with all these great guys get as much credit as they possibly can? And let's be honest, you could end up going to watch Steve-O. You could end up watch Jason Sanger, Jake Weatherald up in the East Anglia League. There's some cracking games out there, some cracking players. I'm not sure if Carlos Brathwaite will be playing this weekend, but he's taking Bridgewater to the top of the West England League at the moment. So there's plenty out there, and you say yourself, Will, it's the best quality cricket out there before you get into those county level, isn't it?
Yeah, correct. And we are at home this weekend. So if you want to come and watch, I suggest you send us a DM on X, because it's one of the hardest grounds in the country to find.
I've just been looking at where you are on the map, actually, and you are quite literally one of the hardest grounds in the country to find. It was hard to find on Google Maps. So, yeah, that's a great effort.
Oh, hang on a minute. Let's be honest. I went to East North Cricket Club yesterday to see Herefordshire and Wales National County. That was a difficult ground to find. And Google Maps took me down somewhere that I really wish I hadn't gone down in the first place.
I challenge you. I challenge you to find ours.
Is yours like that, is it? It's one of them, is it?
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for joining us, Will. It's been great to chat Kent League. It's not a league that we've done before and gone through very much, so it's great to get some more feedback on that league, and look forward to catching up with you maybe towards the end of the season, especially if it goes down to that last game. That would be fabulous, without a shadow.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Yeah, absolutely, Will. Cheers now.
Thanks for listening to the Premier League Cricket Show. If you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on future episodes and stay updated on all the latest news, views and discussions from around the cricket's Premier Leagues. And be sure to follow us on X, formerly known as Twitter, and Instagram at TPL Cricket Show on both. Join the conversation, share your thoughts and connect with us and your fellow Premier League cricket fans. And hey, if you enjoyed the show, why not show us some love? Leave us a 5-star review on your favourite podcast platform, as it helps other potential listeners to find us when they're searching for cricketing podcasts. Thanks again for being part of the Premier League Cricket Show family, and until next time, have a good one.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.